soldiers are gonna be in Israel, right now as we speak, in order to defend the Israelis. Do the Israelis pay for our military? Are they the ones who are shelling out $1 trillion a year for our military? No, they're not. We pay for our military. Why are our soldiers based in Israel? Why do we have F-22 Raptors in Israel in order to protect Israel? In a laughable attempt to drum up support for the U.S. carrying out a war against Iran on behalf of Israel, senior Trump advisors are allegedly hoping that Israel launches an attack on Iran first, which would then trigger retaliation from Iran against Israel, and then it would drag the United States into war that would somehow be wanted by the American people because they would somehow feel the need to protect Israel?
No, Anna, so that's a great point. And as you guys are going to see in the story, you might be thinking, first of all, are the Israelis even going to do it? I'll address that in a second because I have information that you don't, because I was just involved in a debate with a top Israeli, okay? Second of all, the point isn't, guys, that, oh, we have to protect beloved Israel. No, we just put our planes in Israel, as Anna's about to tell you. So they're hoping that our planes and our soldiers get hit. Our guys, our government is hoping that our guys get hit, so then they can go, oh, okay, now we don't have a choice, wink, wink, now we have to attack Iran. It's the most craven, disgusting thing I've seen.
So let's just acknowledge that the Trump administration is fully aware that the vast majority of American people do not want to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel. We don't feel the need to do this. We shouldn't have to pay for it. We shouldn't risk the lives of American soldiers on behalf of a foreign country. So instead of listening to the American people, the Trump administration would like to manipulate the American people. So the calculus is a political one. The calculus is a political one, that more Americans would stomach a war with Iran if the United States or an ally were attacked first. But again, under this dumb plan, Iran wouldn't have attacked the United States or Israel first. Israel would attack Iran first, and then that would, of course, spark a retaliation, which is normal. I mean, what would we do if we were attacked on our land? We would respond, right? Now, nonetheless,
so,
political...
Anna, can I just let me real quick on that? Guys, the reason why they assume that is because they know that at that point, American media will go out and say Israel's the victim and that you're all anti-Semites if you don't now engage in the war to protect the poor, poor, poor Israelis, conveniently leaving out that they started the war. I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who start a war and then cry to me about it afterwards.
And what's amazing is that Politico even quotes someone who literally admits that a few sentences or a few paragraphs down. Quote, there's thinking in and around the administration that the politics are a lot better if the Israelis go first and alone and the Iranians retaliate against us and give us more reason to take action, said one of the people familiar with discussions. Both individuals were granted anonymity to describe private conversations. Now, of course, they want to remain anonymous. This is, in my opinion, also a message, an open message to Israel. Go ahead and strike first. We got your back.
Anna, there's a much more disturbing part of that quote. Think about it, guys. That's people inside the White House planning for our soldiers to get hit and killed so that they can get their objective of attacking Iran. That's borderline treason. To say, here's a sitting duck. They're telling Politico. They're actually saying it. The part of this plan is Israel hits Iran, Iran hits us, kills our soldiers. Yes! Then we celebrate at the White House because then we can launch the war that Israel wanted all along, not for Israel to fight it, but for America to fight it. They're literally looking forward to our guys being murdered, and that's inside the White House. The Israeli lobby controls this entire government. Go ahead, Ann.
Politico writes, and this was published yesterday, it's even more clear that what I'm about to read to you is absolutely going to happen. The thinking among those closest to the president is that, quote, we're going to bomb them, according to the first person familiar with discussions. So today, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, two Zionists who have no interest in peace in the Middle East and want to help Israel, let's be very honest and clear about that, engaged in more negotiations with Iran. Came out of the negotiations and said, no, they won't budge, they won't give up their missiles, which is the only means to defend themselves from Israel, a belligerent country in the region. So we're going to bomb them. We're going to go to war with Iran. We, the people of the United States of America, our military, the military that consists of the men and women of our country, that is paid for by American taxpayers, all those resources, all those people will be sacrificed on the altar of precious Israel so they can get regime change in Iran. And I want to be clear about one other thing. There is no plan for what happens to Iran after the current Iranian government is destroyed, because that doesn't matter to Israel. Israel would be happy to see a failed state, much like we have in Libya, something else that Israel wanted and got, and Syria. So like these conversations and debates about like, oh, well, who's going to govern Iran the day after? They don't care. They are happy to see a country of 92 million people completely and utterly destroyed for this tiny little country that is engaged in endless terrorism in the region. And yes, that's Israel. So let me continue. So the brain-dead morons over at Politico thought that they could insult our intelligence by citing a poll by JL Partners claiming that recent polling shows that Americans, and Republicans in particular, support regime change in Iran, but are unwilling to risk any U.S. casualties to achieve it.
And I'm sorry, I got to step in there too, because look at that framing. The conclusion of the poll is the American people do not support this war if there's going to be American casualties, and very, very, very likely there's going to be American casualties. But they didn't frame it that way. They framed it as the American people and majority of Republicans agree with the war as long as there's no casualties. You see how the trick is in the framing? And so they constantly are framing to manipulate you to serve Israel's interests. Back to you.
So they linked to Breitbart's exclusive coverage of that poll, which was already a red flag. So I looked into it. What is JL Partners? Is JL Partners a biased polling place, or is it legitimate? I'll let you decide. JL Partners is a UK polling firm founded by James Johnson, former pollster to Theresa May, and Tom Lubbock, former pollster at Conservative Campaign headquarters. Now, I doubt the right-wing media in America really gives a single F about who or what leads a Middle Eastern country. So this idea that like American conservatives are sitting around, they're like, oh, we desperately want regime change in a foreign country while we struggle with our current economic situation, while housing is unaffordable, healthcare is unaffordable. No, we're really concerned about who the leaders of freaking Iran are. But anyway, so how did the hucksters over at Breitbart cover this poll? How did they frame it? The stunning new data shows that, yes, Americans do not like the regime in Iran and would love to see it wiped out. But it also has bright warning lights for the White House as the president considers his options, because the data suggests that Americans broadly, and Republicans specifically, do not want to risk even a single American life to accomplish that. So let me be clear about something. Regime change will not happen in Iran unless you have boots on the ground. Iran is even more sophisticated and 4 times as large as Iraq. So this idea that we're going to just like do some airstrikes and the Ayatollah is going to get killed or is going to step down and suddenly we're going to have this wonderful regime change situation in Iran without boots on the ground is laughable. But that's what they want you to believe. So this just gets started. That's what Israel wants. The White House wants to manipulate you into wanting it, into thinking that it's going to be super easy, that there won't be any boots on the ground. But if you buy that, you are the most naive person on the planet. The Wall Street Journal notes that the U.S. has deployed combat jets, F-22 Raptors to be specific, to Israel for the first time ever in preparation to defend Israel from Iranian retaliation. So we will have boots on the ground, at least in Israel. They're admitting as much already.
And why?
And they're there specifically. Our soldiers are gonna be in Israel, are in Israel right now as we speak, in order to defend the Israelis. Do the Israelis pay for our military? Are they the ones who are shelling out $1 trillion a year for our military? No, they're not. We pay for our military. Why are our soldiers based in Israel? Why do we have F-22 Raptors in Israel in order to protect Israel?
Yes.
Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, well, I can. First, they're there to get killed. If they get killed, Israel's going to throw the biggest party in the world and be like, now America's forced into our war. Now you serve us loyally. Now, why do I need my troops there to get killed? Why would I put them there? You have to defend our special ally. Okay, but why do I have to defend our special ally? Because they're about to start a war. No, wait. If they're going to start a war, they should defend themselves. They shouldn't put our guys, Americans, in the front lines to get murdered, to get killed, so that we'll get dragged into a bigger war, and we fight it for them, just like we did in Iraq. Same BS excuse of weapons of mass destruction. We're here to help the Iranian people, that we're going to be greeted as liberators. It's going to be easy. Don't worry. Regime change will magically happen by itself. I've now debated half a dozen pro-Israel guys in the last couple of days alone, and they all say the same thing. Oh, it's going to be easy. Oh, yeah, it'll magically cure itself. But remember, put the Americans up front so they get killed first, so we could pretend that this is America's war.
The U.S. has sent Army troops to Israel to operate the THAAD anti-missile systems and has previously stationed ballistic missile defense-equipped destroyers near Israel to help protect the country from missile and drone attacks. Because that's why we spend all that money on our military, so we can protect a foreign country that doesn't contribute anything to our country or to our military. One other thing, Cenk. Dennis Ross, former senior U.S. official who has worked for both Democrats and Republicans, says operating aircraft from Israeli bases is a first. So I want to be clear, we will have troops on the ground, in the very least in Israel, to protect Israel. For a war of choice. That's what this is. War with Iran is a war of choice. It's not about protecting ourselves. Their missiles can't even reach the United States. Why are we spending $1 trillion a year on a military that is now being deployed and used by a foreign country?
Yeah. So I'm going to go to that Netanyahu clip in a second, Kate. I'm telling my producers here, because I want to show you guys how this is a 100% redo of the Iraq War. Same exact talking points. But get a load of the temerity of Israel to say, now we're going to start a war, and we want you guys to get killed first. And you owe us a defense of our country as we aggressively attack another country and kill God knows how many people in that country. And we demand it. We demand that all of our neighbors be defenseless. They're not allowed to have any nuclear weapons, makes sense. Nuclear energy that everybody else is allowed to have. They're not allowed to have ballistic missiles. They're not allowed to control their own foreign policy. They're not allowed to do anything that Israel doesn't agree to. That's why we're going to go kill them, to make sure that they comply with our wishes, not their own people's wishes. And that's why you must protect us as we launch this war. But don't worry, it's going to be super easy. Now we have it, Kate. All right, now let's see if they made a similar argument before the Iraq War.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Oh, he guaranteed it. And did it have enormous positive reverberations for the region? No, they're gigantic liars. The Israeli politicians have been lying to us our whole lives. They've been manipulating our government and our media. They've taken $330 billion from us. That's not normal. That's not normal at all. Imagine if we gave $330 billion to Mongolia. People would be like, what the hell did you do that for? But when you ask it of Israel, they're like, how dare you, you anti-Semite? Give me your wallet. Otherwise, I'm going to say that you hate Jews, and I'm going to ruin your career, and you're never going to be allowed to talk again. Ha ha ha, I don't work for Israel. Ha ha ha. Ridiculous, man. Our media is totally and utterly corrupted. They didn't notice that they took $330 billion? How come they never say that? They didn't notice that 94% of Congress gets money from the Israeli lobby? In fact, if you say that, they say that is correct. That is a correct fact. But you should never be allowed to speak again because we have said we're going to declare you an anti-Semite. It's thuggery. Okay, now, I can actually protect Israel better than any of them. So I could prove to you now that I care more about the Israeli civilians than they do. Well, how am I going to do that? That's super easy. Don't go to war. No one in Israel will be hurt. You have Iron Dome. You have nukes. I hear nukes are terrible, but you have them and you stole them from us. But we're supposed to ignore that. The media says if you do not ignore the fact that Iran stole our nuclear secrets, Israel did. See, that's funny. You didn't put it into my head. Israel, not Iran. Israel stole our nuclear secrets. They developed nukes, and they constantly say, including Jonathan Pollard recently, the trader, saying, we threatened America with nukes before, and then they learned that they better follow our foreign policy. He said it. It's on you could go on my X profile and see it for yourself. And they're constantly lying to us, constantly stealing from us. But if you say things that are factual and you quote them, our media goes, anti-Semite, you should be eliminated. No, you should not be allowed to speak against Israel. But we're not biased. We're objective. We're reporters. Okay, so is it true or not true that if you don't go to war, everybody in Israel is going to be safe? Absolutely. They're almost the safest country in the world. Okay, but no, they're going to start a war. And then after they start the war, they can kill hundreds of thousands of Iranians and our media won't give a damn, right? But the minute 2 or 3 Israelis are killed in a counter-attack, I guarantee you Jake Tapper and the entire national media like, oh, the Israelis, the precious Israelis have been hurt. All of you to war, go, you get killed for them. Get killed for them. And if you complain, you're an anti-Semite. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I'm sick of it. The whole country's sick of it. They are messing with something that is super dangerous here. The rage this country is going to feel when we lose any significant number of troops in this war is not going to be anything like you've ever seen before. And then they're going to cry about it. But I mean, it is the definition of effing around and finding out.
So you know what's amazing, Cenk? The anonymous senior Trump officials who spoke to Politico even acknowledge some of the risks that the United States is taking by engaging in this war. I mean, they obviously want it, which is why they're manipulating Americans into supporting it, which I don't even think is going to work. But one risk they admit is, depleting our munitions stockpiles, which would give China an opening to invade Taiwan, which would be really bad for the United States since we still heavily rely on Taiwan for our semiconductor chips. The other thing, and I'm going to read the exact quote from the Politico piece to you, is this. If we're talking about a regime change scale attack, Iran is very likely to retaliate with everything they've got. We have a lot of assets in the region, and every one of those is a potential target. That includes humans, by the way, American soldiers. Said the first person familiar with discussions, and they're not under the Iron Dome, so there's a high likelihood of American casualties, and that comes with a lot of political risk. Nonetheless, we want to trick Americans into supporting a war with Iran on behalf of Israel. That's our government, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're dealing with here. So,
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.